The Lure of Distress, written by Majestic Teach 6677. The trap was a simple concept and worked remarkably well. Just set off a distress beacon and watch the idiots scramble to help. You just need to be sure that you work the trick on a less traveled route where the local authorities are spread thin. Ideally, a frontier area where everybody knows there isn't much help to be found. So everybody is willing to stop by and help the instant there's a distress call. Granted, the cargo and ships you salvage after spacing a few in these parts of the galaxy aren't the best, but a space-worthy vessel has solid value even if the cargo doesn't. Hit a few ships, then move on to a new area before the locals catch on. This would be our third and final acquisition in this region of space, and hopefully provide just enough gravy to top off our current spoils to pay for a vacation at least one full cycle long. An old Thoxian cargo hauler was approaching our distressed ship, which was pretty close to ideal for us. The crew compartment only supports a crew of 3 sapiens at most, and often it is piloted by solo or duo teams. Value-wise, old Thoxian haulers might be small, but they are quite reliable, adaptable to a wide range of sapien races, easy to repair, and fast to flip for good credits because they're always in demand in tougher sectors of space. After 15 time units of playing dead in space, we felt the external lock of a boarding tube connect to our airlock. There was a gentle hiss as the docking arm went through the safety handshakes and confirmed an airtight seal. The door opened, and nobody was there. Thraxek stepped cautiously out of cover and started to move towards the open hatch, when a figure suddenly appeared in the airlock, and 2 loud bangs followed. Something exploded out of Thraxek's back, and he fell backwards onto the deck, unmoving. Jarek reacted quickly, and with a smooth motion, swung his weapon up, but a weapon already raised and being aimed reacts faster than one being brought to bear. 2 more sharp cracks, and the back of Jarek's head was missing. The second fire team realized this was a fight and quickly had weapons at the ready and advanced slowly towards the docking corridor. We heard over their open suit cam feeds a steady metallic clunking of armor footsteps approaching them. As they prepared to round the corner to ambush our unexpected foe, the unthinkable happened. The docking ramp from the other ship suddenly disconnected, opening our ship to the void of space. The sudden decompression threw our team off balance just for a moment, and the figure stepped around the corner to meet them while the airlock slammed shut in response to the emergency. Slightly taller than normal, bipedal, 2 arms, medium-sized torso, and a head. We couldn't quite get a clear read on the species as bipedal isn't too uncommon in the galaxy, but we could see that it wore a heavy void suit that appeared to be armored. There were scratches and missing paint that indicated the suit was likely old or at the very least heavily used. The thin visor on the helmet was the only clue that the species had only forward-facing eyes. But as the tinted visor was a single solid piece, there was no way to confirm the creature's optical receptors or their location. It held a relatively compact pistol in one hand, with the second cupped around the first in an obvious method to support the main hand holding the weapon. "Look out!" the captain yelled over the comms as the thing came into view, but it was already too late. Our fellow crew were disoriented and off balance from the sudden depressurization. Crack, crack! Jada fell. Crack, crack! Chikra spun from the force of whatever hit him before collapsing on the ground. After a moment of shocked silence, the enemy appeared on Jada's camera feed again. It was looking over Jada's body and seemed to be performing a quick search. Finding her backup power packs, they looked at them momentarily before flipping the body face down and killing our view. We saw the armor this thing wore was a pattern of random dark grays, with barely visible markings in matte deep black paint on the upper left chest. We saw the letters UTM in galactic standard next to a rectangular box with a circle inside. The circle had a strange design none of us had seen before. "Run recognition on that symbol!" the captain yelled at me, with panic in his voice. I quickly complied and typed a search query for our ship database to run a comparison of both the letters and the symbol against all known. When the image search began, the thing picked up Chakra's body and pulled his spare power packs. With dread, I realized that our plasma rifles are not DNA locked, as we need to use them while wearing void suits. The pistol the thing had was unexpectedly powerful, and now it had 2 good plasma rifles as well. As we were waiting for the results, the figure approached the hatch to the inner section of the ship. It raised its pistol to tap on the camera mounted on the top of the door. "Open up, and you'll live," the figure said into the camera with a gruff, electronically generated voice in Galactic Standard. He was likely using a translation matrix to communicate. Enraged, the captain opened comms and screamed at the thing, "Go screw yourself! I'll kill you for what you've done to my crew!" "Fine," the figure responded. "Let's see if you're smart and know what this'll do." In full view of the camera, our enemy put away their pistol and pulled out a small tool from their belt. It then casually pried off the side panel of Jada's plasma rifle, exposing the internal wiring. With one appendage on its right hand, it probed the internals until it found a particular set of wires. Putting them out, 2 wires were then shoved into one spare power pack that it scavenged from the fallen crewmates. Tukra explained this trick to me once as an emergency measure of last resort, and nothing I should have ever attempted unless desperate. When configured like this, and shot with another plasma rifle, it would create a cascade failure, and the weapon would explode violently with both explosive force and superheated plasma that can melt through armored plate. But attempting this is dangerous, as everything can explode in your hands if you cross the wrong wires. I watched in horror as the thing then pulled out and used some sort of dark tape to strap the loose power pack to the plasma rifle. As it tore off the final piece of tape, the computer finished its search and displayed the results of the image search. United Terran Marines and the Flag of Earth, both inactive. Former military designation used by human forces from the Sol system, superseded by the United Terran Defense Force following the end of the 4th Terran integration conflict, which concluded 20 Galactic Standard years ago. Equipment bearing UTM markings is often sold through human army/navy stores, and is popular with Terran spaces and veterans on all sides of the conflict. "One last time." What I now knew was a human said into the door camera, "Open the door and surrender, and you live. If not," it held up the other rifle and a handful of extra power packs. "If you're going to give me toys to use as grenades, I'll happily make it messy for you." "There are 4 of us and only 1 of you," the captain said with an edge in his voice, clearly exposing panic and a hint of madness. "Grab your plasma pistol. This human thinks they can challenge us on our own vessel. We'll teach him." "All right, have it your way," the human said, as it was clearly taping the modified rifle to the door. I nodded at the captain. "I'll provide cover fire from here in the cockpit." Good, the captain responded, while I did a slow and intentional safety check of my weapon. "We'll have a perfect crossfire." He then stormed out with a heavy laser rifle gripped firmly in his tentacles. I heard furniture scraping as the captain and my other 2 crewmates prepared for the human. I stood up and calmly placed my pistol on the pilot's control station across the room from me, in full view and well out of the claw's reach. I raised both my claws and knelt down facing my computer station, and closing all 3 of my eye stalks, and waited. Boom! A clattering as the door exploded, or was blown off its hinges and fell into the room. Screams and blaster fire followed. Crack! I heard scuffling, a sickening gargling sound, and more blaster fire accompanied by screams of rage. Then the sound of something metal clattering in the room behind me. Boom! Metallic boots moving calmly and entering the room. Crack, crack! A scream of rage and fast footsteps from the captain. Crack, crack, crack! Metallic boots moving calmly again. Crack! The gurgling sound stopped, and metallic boots approached the cockpit. "Well," the human's voice said behind me, "at least one of you has a brain." End of story. Story number 2. Beauty is Not Universal, written by Shadeskira. The interstellar bar on Station Varus was a curious place, famous amongst travelers for its human patrons. Humans had a reputation for their odd habits, baffling culture quirks, and a penchant for making even the most battle-hardened aliens laugh with their strange humor. It wasn't Relka's kind of place, but Zalara had insisted. The 2 mercenaries made an unlikely pair. Relka, a member of the hulking Drakthar race, radiated power. Her crimson skin was crisscrossed with scars, her towering frame and broad shoulders intimidating even to those who knew her gentle moments. She was a warrior through and through. Beside her, Zalara moved with an effortless grace, her shimmering iridescent skin and delicate features drawing admiring gazes from every corner of the room. The Valerine mercenary had long mastered the art of charm, both in battle and in life. As they entered the bar, Velka growled under her breath, "This place reeks of humans. Why are we here, Zarala?" Her companion smiled slyly. "Because humans are fascinating, and trust me, you might find something interesting here." Velka rolled her eyes but followed Zalara to the bar, muttering about wasted time. She ordered a strong drink and kept her eyes on the room, surveying for potential threats. A reflex born from years in the field. Zalara, however, was much more at ease, her drink sparkling faintly as she sipped it and scanned the crowd. "That one," Zalara murmured after a moment, tilting her head subtly towards a human at the far end of the bar. Velka frowned. "What about him?" "Much," Zalara said, a knowing smirk playing on her lips. The human approached, his gait casual but confident. He had a roughness to him, scruffy hair, a slightly crooked smile, and a jacket patched in places. He slid into the seat next to Ralka with a grin that bordered on reckless. "Mind if I sit here?" he asked, his voice warm and unbothered. Ralka's instincts was to dismiss him, but Zalara's expression stopped her. The Valerine was watching with an unmused, almost conspiratorial look, as though this were all part of some unspoken plan. "Suit yourself," Ralka grunted. The human ordered a drink and glanced at her, his eyes lingering not on scars or tusks, but on her massive arms, encased in armor that bore the wear of countless battles. "You look like you've seen some action." "I'm a mercenary," Ralka said flatly, unsure where this was going. "That tracks," he replied, his smile growing. "You've got that don't mess with me vibe. It's kind of impressive." Ralka blinked, caught off guard. "Impressive?" "Yeah," he said, leaning casually against the bar. "Humans have this saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Means we have all different tastes. And me," he shrugged, "I've got a thing for strong women. You're stunning." The room seemed to tilt. Ralka stared at him, trying to process what she'd just heard. Her mind flashed to every encounter she had with other species. She was used to admiration for her strength, respect for her skills, and fear for her reputation. But this, a human finding her beautiful. "I think you've had too much to drink," she said gruffly, but there was no venom in her words. "Not yet," he countered, his grin widening. "But if I'm being too forward, just tell me to shut up." Zalara laughed softly, drawing Ralka's attention. "Humans," she said knowingly. "I told you they're full of surprises." Ralka scowled. "You planned this." "Planned?" Zalara feigned innocence. "I simply thought it'd be good for you to experience something different. Humans, after all, have a way of seeing things others don't. Especially beauty." The human chuckled, raising his glass. "Two surprises, then." Ralka found herself raising her own glass, despite the lingering disbelief. Perhaps humans were more intriguing than she thought, and maybe, just maybe, this one saw something in her that the rest of the galaxy never had. End of story. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Caspar Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.